Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Transformers Masterpiece MPG-01 Cybertron Trainbots Leader Trainbot Shouki. So this is the first in the Masterpiece Trainbots line that Takara Tomy is doing. I don't know why they decided to do them in Masterpiece and not just kind of like in the Legends line, which I kind of would have preferred just because it would have been a little bit simpler transformation and certainly cheaper. But yeah, here we are. So we're getting Masterpiece Trainbots. There will be 6 in total. And you can see they kind of have their own little subline. It's MPG instead of just kind of Masterpiece. And they start with 01, so the numbering starts over again. And it does, of course, come packed in train mode. That's why we have this long rectangular box. But you get a nice shot of the train mode and the robot mode here on the front. Just a bunch of warnings and whatnot on the bottom. Kind of standard. Got that nice kind of embossed sparkly lettering there on the top. Over here on this side, just a shot of the train. And then we get the robot mode here on this side. And then taking a look at the back, kind of shows you some poses for robot mode, scale with a couple other Masterpiece figures. You have a little cockpit, which will show off. And then, of course, he does become the kind of torso section for Raiden in what is called Gatai mode. So he doesn't even have the head, which I think is interesting. So I think there's 1, 2, I think there's going to be a third one for the midsection, and then 4, 5 for the other 2 arms. Although I will say that the waist section looks significantly less bulky than I'm used to seeing, like in the animation models and other things that we've gotten. So I don't know. I feel like this should be built up more. If this is going to be a separate Transformer, I feel like that should be built up a little bit more. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Here are the full contents. Of course, you get the train, you get the chest plate, weapon, 2 seats, a little stand piece, 2 parts of train track, and then you do get the instructions and the little collector's card, which I'll show off in a minute. So, pretty cool. We'll go ahead, we'll get him out of the box here, and we'll take a closer look. Alright, so here is Shouki in train mode. You get a little piece of track here, and you can see it rolls very nicely. It's just 2 pieces of track. You just feed this through. And I'm assuming every train is going to come with some, so when you're all done, you'll have a nice piece of straight track. And this is kind of, I think this is metal, the rails here. It's a little difficult to get him to sit perfectly on the rails. But once you do, he glides very well, which is very nice. I'm going to go ahead and put these off to the side. Now, they do have some peg holes here in the middle. If you have any of those stands that you can peg in there that have kind of like the ramp that goes up. I know some of the previous Masterpiece figures have come with them. I don't have any of those, so I can't show them off. But they give you pieces like there's a little stand piece here that you can connect. So what you would do, here's the chest plate here. We're going to pop this out. You kind of pull it out a little bit. And then it rotates down. You kind of push it back down. Then this little part of the chest plate flips back like this. And then you can go ahead and peg this in here like so. And that just drops right in. And then you can go ahead and connect it to a stand. So if you want to show him like flying, because in the show, in the Headmasters cartoon, this would fly around in space, you know, on Earth, fly around all over the place. So you have that little connection point there that you can utilize. Put that off to the side. Flip this back. And then lift this up and put this back down. I think that's the right way. I always do this backwards. Is it like... No, it's definitely like this. It's like this. I think... I'm always getting myself all turned around on that. In any case, you have some other things you can do. I'm going to go ahead and take the train track piece and just put that off to the side. So we do get some other accessories. We have a gun. You can store this underneath here. It never wants to stay for me, but there is a little piece right here. And that is supposed to peg in to this rectangle underneath here. So if you go like this, I think it goes like this. See, now I'm kind of convinced I have this backwards. Yes, I definitely did. Okay. One of these days I'll get that. So this is supposed to peg on like this right here. Again, mine, I peg it in, it pops right out. It's not a big deal, and I probably don't have that 100% flush the way it's supposed to be, and that might be part of it. But that's supposed to peg, you're supposed to be able to peg it right there. Mine never stays on, but whatever. So you can just put it off to the side. You have the chest plate piece for Raiden, which you can fold up like this, which works really well. So you can fold that up. You can store this inside. You push down on these two pieces here, and then this whole section will drop down. You can do two things here. You can either open this up, and you can see that there is a little tab right there. You can take this and peg this in. You can see that there's a tab right there. So you can take this and peg this on here like so. And then you have to push these pieces up. And then you can close this up like this. And this will all... What is going on with this? This fell up. That's not supposed to happen. There we go. So there you go. You can store the chest piece inside if you would like. Or you can open this back up. Take the chest piece out like so, and they give you two little seats. You can go ahead and peg these in here. Come on, do it. There's a little peg right there, and then another little peg. You can see the little peg right there, and you have these little spots on the bottom of the seat, so you can pop this in like that, and then you can go ahead and close this up. If you have any of the little characters like Spike or Daniel that came with some of the other sets, they should fit on these little seats. I don't have any. Certainly not handy if I even do have them. I might have one somewhere, but I don't know which ones you're supposed to use because there have been a couple different scales over the years. And now it doesn't want to close back up for me. Oh, I think I have to push, in this configuration, you have to push those back down. That's what the problem is. There we go. So now the seats are in there, and you can just open up the one side and then go ahead and put, you know, someone in the little cockpit there. So that's kind of neat. Otherwise, I don't really know what you're supposed to do with these seats. If you prefer to store the chest plate, then you just kind of have to store them somewhere on your own. There's not a great place to put them otherwise. So yeah. But we'll close that back all up. I'm probably going to end up... I mean, honestly, I'll probably end up displaying him in robot mode. But if I was going to display him in train mode, like maybe once the others come out, I would probably most likely put the chest plate in there. I think that's nice that you can store that. And you can kind of utilize that same space to store the chest plate in the robot mode as well. So that's nice. But yeah, so that is pretty much all of the features here for train mode. Let's go ahead and get into the transformation. Okay, so to start off, we're going to take these panels here on the side, right here. You want to kind of just get a nail in and flip this section down. Do the same over here on this side. There we go. Then there's a little hook right here that you kind of want to unhook. That frees that up. Then you spin around to the bottom. There's this wheel section that you want to kind of lift up. And if I zoom in here, you can see that it's kind of got these two tabs into these two tab holes here. So you kind of lift that up. And once they're out, that will allow you to split the legs. Let me zoom out here. Okay, so what we're going to do now that we've split the legs, this little panel here is going to fold down. Now there's kind of a little accordion section here, kind of similar to how like a Combiner Wars leg would work, where it's pegged in here. You want to unpeg it, then accordion it the other way, and then peg it in again. So you kind of want to go ahead and unpeg that. Then when you have it about straight out, you need to kind of rotate it on this piece right here. So this is going to swivel like that. And then you want to bring it down and peg it back in like that. Then you're going to take this section here and spin this all the way around. And there's a tiny little tab right here that's going to tab in right there. So that tabs in, and then this little piece here will just fold in for cosmetic purposes. then you can go ahead and close that little door, close this door that was out, close that back up. Okay, now for this section, you kind of have to unhook this because it's kind of tabbed in here. So you kind of have to unhook, there we go, and then you can rotate it down like so. Then you're going to, let me remember how to do this, flip this out like so. You're going to flip the toe up, then you're going to rotate this like that. And then there's a little tab right here that's going to tab into this as you close this down. So that's right here, and you need to make sure that that tabs in like so. And then you can rotate the whole leg at the thigh like so. And there we are. We have our leg. Let me just make sure I didn't forget anything. I don't believe so. So we're going to do the same thing over here, but it's a little bit more complicated because now we have this wheel assembly here. So we're going to open up this little door, which you can see is smaller because the wheel assembly is here. We're going to unpeg this. This is going to rotate like so. Leave this up. And then flip this up here to peg in. Like that. Now the wheel is on this little pin, and it's going to be hard to show this. But you can see that there's a little pin right there, and you need to slide this all the way so that the gray piece is all the way to the side. It was all the way to that side, now it's all the way to this side. And then leave that there. You're going to kind of push this in. I think they want you to actually close the door first. So close the door. And then you're going to push that in just kind of as close as you can. It doesn't really click into place anywhere, but just to kind of get it as close to as possible. And then this will rotate around and peg in there just like we did with the other one. I mean, you can go ahead and do the leg now if you want, rotate that section around. So we're going to do the same thing we did over here where we kind of have to unpeg this first and then rotate this out. It's a little tight, but you can see we're rotating this here, so that's swinging out. So now we're going to open this. This swung out like that. Let me zoom out a bit. Flip the leg, or the toe rather, up. And then we're going to rotate this back. Like that. And then this is going to close up and peg into that spot, just like with the other one, right there. And then we have our two legs. And you do have some nice ankle tilt. So, there you go. We have nice legs. Alright, so now we have this whole top section of the train. We're going to push this down like we did previously, and then this is going to come down here and hang like this. At this point, we can split this in half like so, and kind of flip this down. This whole section will come back here, and just kind of lay there on the body like that. So now this gets a little interesting. So we have to lift this up a little bit. This section will kind of just hang down a little bit. You can go ahead and pull this up like so, and then you can flip this section up like that. So doing that again, lifting this up, bring this down ever so slightly so that you can flip this panel up like that, and then this will flip up like that. So at this point, you kind of need to bend this around, and you can lift this out a little bit, but these kind of have to hang on the back here, but they have to kind of go over top of each other just for a second so that you can get clearance to lift them all the way up like so. you can just kind of leave them there for the time being. So now what we're going to do is there are these little spots right here that we're going to, actually they're underneath here. So there's this little piece that flips out like that. And that's going to tab in there to kind of really cement the shoulder. So that comes down and that tabs in like so. And then at this point you can flip these down as shoulder pads. So doing that again, inside the armpit kind of area, you can lift the arm up a little bit if that helps you. There's a little section here that you flip down like that. And then that tabs in to this tab slot on the side to really give you a nice shoulder assembly. And then you can flip this down as a shoulder pad. So you can see that the robot mode is kind of starting to take shape. I'm going to adjust the camera a little bit for this next part. Okay, so for the top section here, you can see that we're going to lift the head up like so. These little panels are going to fold inward like that. You're going to take this section here, and it's a little difficult to see, and I might actually have done some stuff out of order, but we'll find out. So there's a piece in here, I don't know if you can see that right there, that's going to pull out away from the body like that, so that you can spin this all the way around, and then you can see this piece here is going to flip up, and then you can push this back against the body. And then this kind of like little tab here actually goes into, and it's going to be difficult to see. I'll pull this back out, see if I can pull that out and flip this down temporarily. But there is a crevice, a large tab slot right there underneath the head. And that's where this piece is going to tab into. So you're going to push this in like that. And now I'm zoomed in too much. And this is going to go underneath the head, and then this will kind of tab down on the sides there like that. So now we have this big section here on the bottom, which we're going to open up again like this. If you want, you can go ahead and pop this back in here for storage. You don't have to, but you can. This is going to, now there's a kind of complicated set of moving these around. So that goes like that. That flips down. Then I believe this comes up. This goes down like this so that this accordion's in. Yes, like that. And these can kind of peg in to the back there like that. This little hook comes down, and then this goes up, and there's a little clip right in there, and then this just kind of drops down and clips on to that. There we go. So you can peg those into the back if you want in those spots. You don't have to. The clip really does the majority, but if you want to try to clip those two pieces in, there we go. Okay, so at this point you can see, whoops, or you can't see because I'm knocking the camera around. There we go. We've pretty much, taken shape here. We're almost done. We're going to pull this part away again, and then rotate this and push it in, which of course is going to unpeg the backpack for some reason. I don't know why it would do that. Let's get this back where this goes. Clip on you. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to come to the arms. We're going to flip open the forearm, rotate out the fist, close it up, and then we're going to spin it at the bicep. Now I promise you this is going to happen. It's not a big deal. It's just a mushroom peg. You just pop it back on. It's just for some reason spinning it always makes it pop out. So we will open up the forearm, flip out the fist, close that up, and then spin that again. For some reason, this one doesn't like to fall out. The other one definitely does, though. And then you have these pieces here on the back. You can pop them out to the side. You have like these little guns you can pop out if you want to do anything like that. I kind of just like to keep them straight down. That's just me, but you can kind of move them around if you like. But yeah, here we go. Here is Shouki. I think he looks pretty good. I mean, you know, transformation's a little complicated. And I know some people are worried about all the clear plastic because like kind of all the train panels are kind of clear plastic. But for the most part, it's not too bad. I mean, we'll see how he holds up over time. But I think the robot mode looks really good. He doesn't have a ton of back kibble. He does have some. Like, he's got these pieces, really, and then he's kind of got this little bit. But I don't think it's that bad, honestly. I think the legs look good. He does have a gun, as we saw earlier, so we can go ahead, open up the hands. Now, these peg in. You can see that there is a... Maybe you can't see. Let me zoom in. You can see that there is a slot right there. So the peg on the handle pegs into that, which is pretty standard for Masterpiece figures, I think, at this point. So there you go. He's got his gun. You can take the chest plate, open it up, and use it as kind of like an arm shield. This little piece will flip out, and then you can just clip that onto the side of his arm panel. Right there. Let me zoom out. So you can use that as a shield if you like, with his gun. I'm going to take it off, though. I don't really like to do that. But yeah, he looks good. I love the head sculpt. I think that looks absolutely fantastic. I think they nailed that. Really nice silver paint for the face. Nice blue metallic for the eyes. The head crest looks good. Really nice Autobot symbol here on the chest. A little bit of yellow paint there. So the head is on a ball joint. You can move that around, look up, look down, tilt a little bit side to side, look side to side, no problem there. You do have a shoulder swivel as well as an out to the side. Of course, we have that bicep swivel that keeps wanting to come off. You have double jointed elbows there, which we'll use later on for the torso configuration. You have a wrist swivel. You have the hinge here for the thumb, as well as the opening hand, which is one solid piece. You do have a kind of... Oh, I forgot to flip these. These are side skirt panels. I always forget to flip these down. So that flips down there like that, and that flips down there like that. That's much better. So you do have a swivel in the torso. It's not going to be utilized when this is attached, but it's going to be used later on. But of course you have a waist swivel as well. These panels can flip up so as not to hinder the hip. Kick out to the side, kick forward. Nice ratchet there. Not going to go much to the back because of the back kibble. You have that thigh swivel. You have, I would say, maybe a little bit more than 90 degrees there in the knee. And then, of course, you have the ankle tilts. So a little bit of movement there in the ankle. But yeah, I like him. I like him a lot, actually. I think he looks good. For some scale, let's see, what do we got handy? This is Studio Series Deluxe Bumblebee RC. This is Voyager class Artfire. So you can see he's a little taller than a standard Voyager. I don't have any Masterpiece figures handy, but as you saw in the back of the box, he's pretty in scale with the other Masterpiece figures like Sideswipe, Prowl, that kind of size class. Here is Leader Class Toy Accurate Color Scheme Galvatron. So he's just a little shorter than Galvatron, just a little taller than Artfire, and not quite twice as tall as RC. So I would say he probably scaled decently with Voyager and Leader class figures. I think like a taller Voyager. I think he could pass off as a taller Voyager. Alright, so we'll go ahead and do the torso transformation here. Now, the one thing I did want to show off here, you can take the gun, you can put this piece down, And then you can store it here. This would be the same place it would store in the train mode. Stores a lot better in the robo mode, I think, because there's not a lot of other stuff in the way. But you can store the gun there. You can even leave that there while you're doing the torso transformation. So I wanted to point that out. I'm not going to, but you absolutely could, because the first time I did it, I forgot to take it off and everything seemed to be fine. So that is that. So I will ask you to bear with me, as I am not as good. Not that I was great at transforming into robot mode, but I probably have to refer to the instructions once or twice while I'm doing this, because I've only done this once or so. So we will start with by flipping these up. We will swivel the arms back around, and then we will put the hands back into the forearms. So do that. Swivel this around, open up the forearm, and put the fist back in there. Then you're going to raise these out to the side and do the same with the arms, and then rotate them like this. Oh no, I'm sorry. You have to rotate them actually at the shoulder, not at the bicep. That's very important. So put the arm all the way out, rotate the shoulder, and do this like this. Then we are going to disconnect this section here from the back of the head. Kind of pop this off. You can unhook this from the hook and bring this down. You have to pull this out again so that you can flip this back in like that. The head is going to fold back into the torso like so. Then you are going to spin the entire waist assembly 180 degrees, like that. Okay, then we're going to close these back down and unhook the shoulders, and these will temporarily just kind of sit up here like this. Then we have to de-accordion all of this. So flip this back out like so. Straighten that out like that. Leave this back up here like this for the moment. Okay, so at this point we are going to swivel that second torso swivel that I mentioned earlier. So we're going to swivel that around, which can be a little difficult, but there we go. So then we have that swiveled like so. This is going to come up and push this past so that this can go in like that and snap together. And then this is going to, I think you have to straighten this out. I think at this, do I swivel this? I think I swivel this around at this point. Push this in. This will fold up on the two sides like that. This will come down. Hold on. Yeah, this goes like this. Okay, this doesn't clip into this. This flips around like this. And then you straighten this out. And it's kind of weird, like this piece here I feel like always gets in the way, but you have to just kind of leave it there. It's hard to kind of straighten this out. Straighten this part out. You can kind of put this back a little bit if you want, because that's eventually where they're going to go, and it kind of gives you a little bit of room for this piece, but let me pull this out. And then you have to get this part to straighten, so you have to utilize that extra hinge, and it can really be a pain. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. I think it's this stupid piece is in my way. swear I don't usually have this much trouble with this. There we go. This comes down, and then this pegs in to that right there. And then I can push that back underneath. There we go. Okay. That was way more trouble than it needed to be, but sometimes those panels, like the accordion pieces, like the panels just don't want to pass each other, and it's kind of a pain. So, now we're going to take this section, lift this up, spin this around. This is going to kind of collapse like this. You're going to bring this down, and then this whole section is going to push in just ever so slightly. But you can see that this was down like that, and so that just pushes up like so. And then we're going to bring this up, and you can see that there are two pegs right here, and they're going to peg in right there and there. So if you do this all correctly, this should peg in like so. There we go. Whew. Was a bit of a pain. Okay. Now we're going to bring this back down, and these are going to peg back into the shoulders, just like robot mode. So snap that in there. Bring this down, snap that back in. Now you can lift these sections back up just for clearance. So what you're going to do, and this is actually kind of neat, you're going to use the double jointed elbow to bring these in all the way like this. Then you're going to use the shoulder to bring them in even further. And then this piece comes down and closes over top of that and clips in underneath here like this. So when you have it all tight, you can see that that's all in there like that, and then this piece clips on. I'm assuming this is how the arms are going to connect. So when the other train comes in, that's where that arm piece is going to slot into, and then you can close that back up. So doing this again over here, utilize the double elbow, bring this all the way in, then utilize the shoulder to bring this all the way in like this. Then this piece comes in, and this comes around and clips. And it can be a little finicky, but you can get it. You might just have to straighten the arms out a little bit. And then that clips in like that. And then that closes up. And then these you can just kind of move around like so. There's a little piece in here that it wants you to flip out, I guess just aesthetically, and then you can kind of flip that out. So flip this out like so, flip that like that, kind of push this back in, and I'm sure some part of this has gotten unpegged in the process here, as it likes to do that. So make sure this is pegged back in if it needs to be, and it's not doing it. The nice thing is you have a little bit of wiggle room with these to get them kind of out of your way, so you can get a finger in there to peg this back in. I don't know why, like, I guess it's just, like, if you lift these skirts up a little bit, then this will sit a little bit better, but this just does not want to stay pegged in because this stupid gray panel just keeps wanting to move around so much. Is that in? No, it's still not going in. It's kind of finicky to get both of them to peg in the way they're supposed to, and then this has to peg in on top of all that. Now, why won't you peg in? Well, in any case, once that's all pegged in, all you do is bring the legs up like this, and then they will tab together like that. And then that's pretty much it. That's the torso section. You're going to bring the plate in here. This section's going to flip up, There's a little spot right here. It's right. That's very hard to see, especially with the black, but it fits in there. So this goes in like that, and then that pegs in there like that. And there you go. There is your torso. I forgot to peg that barbette in. This little panel just flies back. So it's not holding together the best right now, but that's basically it. So like I said, I think this is going to lift up, and that's going to be where your arms connect. It also tells you can take this piece here from before and slide this on here. I don't know if this is just if you wanted to display just the torso on a stand, which I guess you could, or if the combine mode is going to use this connection. I don't think so, but it could. My guess is that the other transformer will slot onto this like that. That's kind of my guess, but I don't know that. I definitely think these are going to be connections for the arms. I don't know how the head is going to sit on here. I don't know what's going to go on with all that. I guess only time will tell, but that is essentially your Raiden torso. I think Shouki's pretty great. I mean, this is my first exposure to the Trainbots, because obviously I didn't have the original set, as that was a Japan exclusive and now goes for a ridiculous amount of money. And we haven't really had any other iterations of the Trainbots. I think there was like a Micromaster set way back in the day, but that's not even the same thing at all. But yeah, he looks great. I mean, really nice articulation. I think the paint applications look good. Head sculpt is nice. Love the Autobot symbol there on the chest. Yes, he does have a bit of a backpack, but, you know, he's got to put it somewhere. I understand. Doesn't really get in the way of articulation at all. I don't think it's that bad. You know, I feel like you can do a little bit if you want to kind of pose these pieces out as wings, you could do that. But even just with this section, I feel like that's really not that bad. It kind of collapses pretty nicely on the back there. Like I said, paint applications, articulation are all good. Accessories are good. You have the chest plate, which you can store in the back, which I really appreciate, or you can use it as a shield. Of course, you're going to need it later for the combined mode. You also have these two little seat pieces, which it's a neat idea. If you have some of the smaller human characters from the previous Masterpiece releases, you could utilize that, but I don't, so I'm probably just going to put them back in the box and never look at them again, but that's fine. I also realized I never showed you guys the directions. So you can see it's a pretty substantial direction booklet there, and also the little card that he comes with, because they love to give you a little trading card with your Masterpiece releases. So wanted to show those off real quick. But yeah, I mean, I think he's good. Like I said, I'm excited to see what the rest is going to bring. I have no idea how well Raiden is going to hold together. As you can see, I was struggling a little bit with the torso configuration. I think that's me. I'm just mistransforming something. If you just kind of study the instructions and go step by step, I'm trying to do it from memory from this video. But everything can kind of peg in together fairly securely, but we'll see. I have no idea how much weight, you know, those two arms are going to be connected to him, and hopefully it holds. We'll see. Hopefully there's something to reinforce it. But for now, just judging this guy as a train and a robot, I think he's a lot of fun, and I'm finally happy to add some representation of the Trainbots to my collection, because I've been wanting them to do like a Generations or a Combiner Wars or some kind of, you know, like contemporary toy line legacy, something like that version of the Trainbots for years now. And I guess they just figured, because, you know, it's such a more popular thing in Japan, it wouldn't really make sense to release here. But I don't know. In any case, we're finally getting these. I was surprised when they announced that it was going to be Masterpiece instead of just like Legacy or Generations. But I think they work. I think the real telling factor is just going to be how well Raiden holds together once all 6 are released. But I'm definitely going to continue. I was kind of on the fence because I know I haven't had the best luck with Masterpieces in the last couple years. I know a lot of people have had problems with things breaking, you know, mid-transformation something snaps off, or like really ridiculously intricate transformations that are like kind of over-engineered and the pieces get brittle. But I don't really feel like this guy's like that. I feel like it's a pretty standard Masterpiece transformation. I've transformed it back and forth to train mode a couple times now, and it's, once you do it a couple times, it's fairly intuitive, and I really don't feel like it's overly complicated. There's a couple places where you have little panels to move, but it's really not that big a deal. I think pretty standard and not ridiculously difficult transformation. Not certainly on the way of like a Masterpiece Hound or Dinobot or something like that, where it got really messy. So I think this is definitely doable. And like I said, he scales kind of like pretty well with a Voyager class. Not a little bit taller than a Voyager class, but you could kind of put him with your Legacy stuff if you really wanted to. In any case, I'm talking too much. This guy's great. Recommend picking him up. He is a little bit on the expensive side. These guys are, about $100 a piece, maybe a little bit more. Actually, he might have been $150. I honestly don't remember. I pre-ordered it so long ago. But yes, they are pricey, but I think they're good. I think he looks really great, and I'm excited to get more of them. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.